Okay, so this is the homework, well, I guess the practice work from section 4.1. And this is question 1, 2, and 3. I'll get to the other questions in another video unless I have time in this video. So the first question is draw the mapping that shows triangle S. This is triangle S, SL. I guess I gotta click on this thing. Okay, triangle S, Y, L, SYL, SYL onto triangle HBV. Okay, so this is saying that this is the pre-image, and then this one is the image. What happens if I do that? Doesn't feel like I thought it would. That's all right. So triangle SYL is the image, and triangle BPV triangle SYL is the pre-image. We're going to call that one green or blue, and BPV is the image. Okay, so I'm going to make these lines red here. Okay, so this one's actually pretty easy. Mapping is drawing lines that show from point to point how it was mapped. All right, so first thing is identifying how the points are mapped together. So the best way that I can tell you to do this when they're in a paragraph or a sentence form like this is you say this is S, Y. I guess this one, maybe make this a little fatter. All right, so triangle, make an HPV red. Yeah, HPV is red, so H, P, V is the post image, and it's getting mapped from SYL, SYL. So you should make sure that they are getting lined up accordingly. You don't crisscross them one way or another. Okay, so S is getting mapped on to point H, Y is getting mapped onto point B, and then L is getting mapped onto point V. All right, so I'm gonna do this in red because red is gonna be my final color for this one. So I'm kind of doing this, and then SLY is gonna be my blue one. There, which kind of distinguishes between the two. Okay, so I can use this one. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and map S to H in red. I'm gonna use red because red is gonna be my final one. So I go up. Oh, I'm gonna use a straight line. What is this? All right, so I'm gonna go up. I need to be that fat of a line. As well, something in there. I'll use that one up for that, and then I'm gonna go over, up and over. That is mapping of H to S, and then I'm gonna map L to V, map L to V. If I was using a pen or something, I would turn this into dotted lines when I go through another image. That's the way I like to do it, but I'm not doing it this time. I'm just going to map L to V. I am going to like kind of do this thing where I hump over the line. This is like an electrician thing, I guess, but I do it just so that they don't intersect. So let's do this. You don't have to do that. I do that. But you don't have to do that. And then I have B going to Y. So I go from B to Y. Oops. Go to B to Y.
Sounding good, bro.
B to Y, and then go to B to Y, and there we go. That's how I've mapped this blue triangle onto the red triangle. You can put arrows if you don't have different color codes, just so that I mapped from here to here. Okay, so that's how I did mapping HBV to SLY. You can see if if you did it right, you could just count your change in Y and your change in X. So your change in X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count another line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah. So the change in X is -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then the change in Y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the change in Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I counted it twice. I'm pretty confident that it's change in Y equals -7. All right, so that's mapping HBV onto SYL. Okay, and it wants me to do it again from HBV, what's my red one, onto RGN. I'll make RGN purple. RGN is purple. Okay. Here, RGN is purple. Okay. So we'll grab this one again. It's going to be RGN is going to be my image triangle RGN from HBV, the triangle thereof, and I just make sure that all my points line up appropriately. So I'm going to go R to H. Grab my purple straight line marker. Go R straight up to H. That looks like it's pretty easy to mark where H lined up with R. And over here. There we go. R to map to H. Now I'll go, now you don't have to go over and down. You can go down and over. I'll do that right here. Like I could go down and over, and that would map B to G. Right, or I could go over and down, and that would map B to G as well. You don't always have to go over and down. You can go down and over, but I'm gonna go ahead and map B over 1 and then G down 1, just because I know that when the end result of all the homework, actually, I don't have to do B to G. The homework is going to end up looking better, but I'm going to do the homework in different things, so I can do that here, I guess. So I'm going to go down, and over for B to G. So G to B, B to G has been mapped. Okay, and then we have V to N, V to N to be mapped. And you can go down and over, or over and down. I'm gonna go over and down, over and down. Over and down. So that's the mapping there. And just because, let's go ahead and just double check to make sure all that makes sense. That's a change in X of -3. Change in X was -3. Now remember that delta sign means change in case you didn't recognize that. And X going this way to the left is negative. And X going this way to the right is positive. And Y going down is negative. And X going up is positive. And then change in Y equals -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also see, hey, this was -6, and it went right to the x-axis. So it makes sense. -6. All right, so it's -3, -6. Right. That wait a second. That looks a little suspect. I think I made a mistake there. Look at that. I made some mistakes. That didn't make sense. Look at that. So these, if I were to count here, 1 and 2, these lines don't match up, right? Well, look, this is, if I wanted to check -3 and -6, pretty sure that H and R were the ones that were supposed to be mapped up. But if I look at these lines, these are not anywhere close to H and X equals -3 and Y equals -6. So something must have happened. I must have made a mistake. Well, oh, well, look at that mistake that I made. I went from G to B, right? I was supposed to go from G right here, G to B. They were not the same ones. This was HBV and RGN, right? And I believe that B and N should be matched up, right? HBV and RNG, and I said RGN from the very beginning. Look at that, right? So that's a mistake. It should have been RG or RNG. I almost did it again. RNG and HBV and HBV, right? But I swapped these two around, and you can see here that they didn't match. So doing this would have or saved me from making that mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines right here. And I'm going to fix my error. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to map the correct ones. I'm going to map R to H, which is correct, N to B. Now, so N should be mapped to B. All right, so this one will go down. Whoops, that's the wrong color. Let's map N to B. And let's not go through to avoid confusion. N to B. And then we'll go ahead and finish mapping. V, I don't want to go through that. V to G. B to G. Okay, now let's see if that makes more sense. Okay, well, so now we have X equals -3, X equals -1, 2, 3. Well, that makes sense. And B equals -3, -1, 2, 3. And that makes sense. Now let's see if our Y's check out. -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. So there we go. So checking your work in a manner like that can save you from errors such as this. All right, so number 3 is describe the translation HBV is the preimage, and RNG is the image. RNG is the image. So this is asking for the algebraic description. So remember, algebraic descriptions start like X comma Y, saying that X comma Y is the image or is the initial point, and then that initial point shifts. And for translations, they start as the X and then how the X changed plus the change in X. And in this case, the change in X was negative, so the change in X is -3. And then the change in Y is Y plus the change in Y, which the change in Y is -6. And that is just the description, the algebraic description of the translation. So describe the translation. I describe the translation algebraically. So that is enough to answer the question. All right, hopefully that helps. And I'll post 4, 5, and 6, and maybe beyond that on the next one. Have a great day.
Stay focused, baby girl.